Hey everyone, hey wellness crew, and welcome to today's video. This is all about my very first remote session with Reiki. My first experience with having a remote Reiki session with Lisa Mohr. And I was really taken aback by what I experienced. I was like, what is happening? So, in order to schedule a session with Lisa, you have to schedule it on Calendly, right? And you can do this by visiting www.lisamohr, that's lisamohr.com. And so I, you know, did that just like everybody else does. And so I said it, and I wasn't even really thinking about this consciously. I've talked about this before that I am an addict. I'm in recovery, but I still say that I'm an addict, right? Because I think once you're an addict, you're always an addict. Um, so I, without even really thinking about it, I just was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna schedule it for Monday. That's perfect. Well, Monday was 420. So, Igor's birthday and that's as far as I'll go with it, right? Because I don't want to promote anything like, too much on that. But for those of you in the know, then you know what that means. um, so this was not the first year, but definitely one of the first years where I wasn't partaking because I have different views on that particular substance than I do on other ones. But I wasn't, I wasn't just going to be California sober this year. I was going to be completely sober this year. And I thought, what better way to spend that day once I realized that I even scheduled it on that day, which I didn't realize it until the day before, which was Sunday. And I scheduled this, I think, on Friday or Saturday. So I realized it the day before, and I was like, well, what better way to spend that particular day than by getting a Reiki session? Well, I get this email, and I thought it was going to be over Zoom. No. She's like, in the email, she's like, okay, so, yeah, there's going to be no Zoom. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? Uh, yeah, when Lisa says remote, she literally means completely remote. And I was like, oh. So it just explains, like, find a comfortable place to be and you're going to have this experience. And, there you go. And I was like, okay, okay, let's go. Let's see what this is going to be like. She also mentions that, you may experience, seeing certain things, or you may experience certain, feelings, or you may experience, XYZ, right? And you know me, I mean, I'm very much into all of this. I'm very much a believer, but there's also a part of me that's still kind of skeptical. I'm still new. I'm still experiencing this. I've never had a like legitimized Reiki session, with the exception of a sort of legitimate one. I wouldn't consider it a formal one when I was 18 years old. This is like my first formal, like legitimate, like, okay, I'm with my Reiki master. I'm going to get this remote treatment, this remote Reiki session. Like, okay. Um, and it blew me away. I experienced, like, I don't even know how to explain it, to be honest with you. The way that she was able to communicate with me is unbelievable. And the things that she was able to show me was absolutely unbelievable. The gift that she possesses to heal and to help others is truly miraculous. It's truly a gift. And she is truly blessed with something that I did not know was possible. So I was conscious, but at some point I did briefly fall asleep. I woke up and I checked the time, and so for the first like 40 minutes is your treatment, and then the last 20 minutes she's writing your workup, right? Um, and of course, me just being so like amazed by how I felt afterwards, I haven't even checked my email for the workup or anything like that. I just was like, okay, let me schedule my next one. So I scheduled my next one actually for my son's birthday. I'm not going to say the date or anything, so I don't want to give too much information about myself or my child away. But and it's going to be during a weekday, so I yeah. But yeah, it'll be while he's in school. So, but I was just like, oh my goodness. So that was Monday, right? Let me rewind a bit. So I also gave my first in-person Reiki session to my son on Saturday. And his experience was mind-blowing, and his exact comment on it, it was about an hour and 15 minutes. My first time, so I had, Lisa's book out of Reiki 101, and I was doing the exact anterior, so the front of the body, anterior hand positionings, and I could feel, I could sense, I was sensing exactly like the hot spots, the cold spots. I was, all of it. My son was reporting to me as it was happening. Mom, I'm feeling tingling. Mom, I'm experiencing this. Mom, I'm seeing this. Well, the the thing that really caught my attention and that spoke to me that my son was experiencing something very real and getting something truly out of this that he had he couldn't have had any idea, was I was working on his root chakra. Now, for the root chakra, for the hand placement for that, you basically have your hand on, or your hands on the person's hips, I should say. Now, the root chakra is red. My son wanted to kind of talk through the entire session. He's very analytical. That's just how my son is. And he goes, Mom, I'm seeing red dots. And I got the chills. Now, my son is about to be 14 years old on his birthday. Um, and my youngest is 4 years old. While I was performing my treatment on my about to be 14-year-old, my 4-year-old comes up and he touches me. And it was like being touched by soft lightning. Not painful lightning, but soft lightning. So I could energetically experience my children at the same time. So I told my youngest, I said, sweetheart, I said, I need you to kind of back off. I'm trying to work on your brother. And I said, your energy is so strong. Well, he has just gone with that. He cannot let that go. And now he just wants to touch everybody's hand and say, look, feel me. My energy is so strong. And I thought, how beautiful is that? I would have never expected something like that to come from this. I would have never expected something like that to um, come from any of this, right? That's not what I was expecting out of that. And this was on Saturday. Somehow, I don't know how, but I get the feeling that she knew what transpired. And it was just such a cool experience on Monday and so uplifting. And I had always assumed that my aura was purple. And I think that's because my son's favorite color is purple. my youngest son's favorite color is black, but since I was, gosh, the song Coldplay by my middle school boyfriend, the song Yellow by Coldplay was a song that was associated with me, right? And it was like, of course, all the rage back in the early 2000s and all that. And the solar plexus chakra is yellow. Well, that's the color of my aura. It's not purple, it's yellow. And the other thing that I had never told Lisa was what I used to do when I was a child. And I've always had insomnia since I was a child. I've always had a very difficult time going to sleep. So what I used to do is I used to stare in the corner. Me and my sibling were on bunk beds, and I would stare in a corner and do this thing where I would just stare into it until it would turn black, and then eventually the whole entire room would turn black. I don't know if other people can do this. I don't know if this is just something that your eye tricks you and you can do that. I don't know, but this is something that I would do, and I would just do this over and over and over again until I got tired and I'd go to sleep. And I was able to see that occur. And then my favorite movie, one of my favorite movies, is the movie Arrival. And if anyone has seen Arrival, then you've seen, the scene when Amy Adams takes off her hazmat suit, goes to communicate with the aliens, puts her hand against the glass, and the ink is coming up, and they're communicating with her with the ink, right? Well, later on in the film, I'm so sorry to spoil the film for you, but pretty much they are able to communicate something important with the use of a whole bunch of black circles. And I was able to see very clearly with my eyes wide open all these black circles, like clear as day, right in front of me while I was conscious. Like there was no question. And I don't know if that was to make me feel comfortable or that was just to let me know, like, I'm yellow. Like, okay, the synchronicities are crazy, or synchronicities, sorry. Ah. But there's all these little things, right, that'll add up. There's all these little things that will occur. Um, so it was a very incredible experience. So I cannot say enough how much I highly recommend, checking Lisa out, checking out, at the very, very least, her YouTube videos. And you can do that just by going to Lisa Mohr TV. Again, that's LISA MOHR TV here on YouTube, right? Just go and get a feel for her yourself if you want to. I highly suggest it. My life has made dramatic changes. I have seen dramatic changes in abundance. I have seen dramatic changes in the way that I'm feeling, in management of pain. Anyone that has followed my main channel, or what was my main channel, I should say, because this is probably going to end up being my main channel where I share most of like what's going on with my journey, with Reiki and with my educational development. Um, I deal with an autoimmune condition, and when I was 19, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which is not something I talk about very often because I don't want to sound like a victim. Um, but my pain, all of these things that are happening, it's being managed much more effectively. And I believe that that's because of the practice of Reiki, and that's because of, yes, practicing on myself, but also because of being a part of this community, you know, with fellow practitioners and with fellow, people that are wanting to develop their skills more effectively and more efficiently. Um, the way that Lisa teaches and her courses, they really cover all bases and all forms of learning. And I think that she just is very in tune, due to her life experiences. She's very in tune with the fact that people learn in very different ways. And she somehow managed to do that with her courses. She managed to, if you learn kinesthetically, you can, okay, great, that's covered. If you learn visually, great, that's covered. If you learn auditorially, great, that's covered, right? I mean, there's all these different modalities of learning are covered in her courses. Um, right now, actually, I have on the TV, of course, at like zero volume because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. Um, I have her sleep meditation on because my boyfriend uh, is also an insomniac, and it just came on. I pressed, play mix because I wanted to, watch all of her videos and be able to share them online and things like that, and on my various platforms. And that was the first thing that came on. And he had sent me a text at like my time, 7:05 this morning. I was up at 4, you know. But he sent me a text at 7:05, and he's not from the U.S. He's from Canada, and he was like, "Oh, I'm just getting to sleep," and I've been trying to find a way to, help him go to sleep. So I often will give him guided meditations myself, but I'm not always available for him at the times that he's going to sleep, or sometimes he doesn't want to reach out. He feels like a burden, things like that. So for this to be the first video to pop up, I'm like, just what are the chances? And I understand, yes, there's a YouTube algorithm. Yes, I understand. Anyone can be cynical, skeptical, all of these things. Everyone can try to explain certain things away. I get it, right? Because I was that person, and I am still that person. I'm not cynical, but I am skeptical. And I don't believe things until I get to experience them myself, and until I actually get to like feel it myself, until I get to like be a part of it myself. I don't promote things unless I actually 100% believe in them, unless I have 100% tried it, unless I 100% have gone through it. I'm very not quick to just say, oh yeah, like I'm not going to be the person that if in the future I got a sponsorship from someone, like I'm not just going to take it, right? I would be very careful and very selective with who I would partner up with, simply because I care very much about who I'm aligned with and what brands I'm aligned with, just like I have been in the past when I was a personal trainer. So all I can say is that it was an incredible experience. I cannot highly suggest it enough. And yeah, that was my first experience with a remote healing session. So I would try it. And again, check her out. Just go to www.lisamohr.com. And outside of that, you can visit me at my channel, Cult of Wellness. You just search Jenna L. Tripp. That's JennaAELTRIP on YouTube. I'm on TikTok at Call Her Jenna. I am on X. I just don't remember the username. I'll be honest with you, I don't remember it. So yeah, you can find me in a lot of places, and but I'm truly just wanting to kind of share and talk about, what's happening now and what's relative now for me in my life. And I'm starting this page truly organically. And if it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, that's great too, because it's just me being honest about what I'm experiencing right now in real time. So, anyways, as always, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and be well, stay wild as well. Bye.